No, so the Volkswagen ID4 is, I guess, kind of shipping now. And one of their marketing ploys, which is actually a great idea, is if you buy their car, you get 3 years of public fast charging, including in the price. So they say, hey, free gas for 3 years. So that gets people's attention. Um, Now, most people are going to charge it at home, but if you're a savvy consumer and there's a high-speed charging station in your community, maybe at a shopping center, you can go charge it there once a week, and maybe that will do what you need for the whole week. Um, and of course, they're using the Electrify America network, which Volkswagen kind of paid for. But I came across a video this week on YouTube from the Engineering Explained fellow. I think his real name is Jason Fensky. Does some great videos explaining how cars work, EVs work. Worth checking out, Engineering Explained. But he test drove an ID4, and he was appalled at how much of a hassle it is to charge at these Electrify America charging stations that were kind of paid by Volkswagen. And in the video, he talks about you can drive up with a Tesla and just plug it in and it works. You could drive up with a Ford Mustang Mach-E, plug it in, it just works. You drive in with a Volkswagen, you drive in with a Volkswagen to the VW network charging station, you have to get out your phone, you have to tell what city you're in, which charger you're using, which handle on the charger. Like it's crazy that they haven't got it more integrated. And I don't know if they were told they had to make it a pain so that they would be favored by the charging network. But it's certainly not practical, especially to anyone who's used to charging a Tesla or some other modern EV. He did say the car's half decent, but the whole charging experience is going to turn off a lot of people. I mean, the fact that it doesn't even know what city you're in when you pull up to the charging station. You have to go on a Google map and point to the city you're in to tell it. So kind of goofy, but check it out at Engineering Explained. And if you go to a VW dealer to buy one of these, say, hey guys, why don't you get your act together?
Yeah, I liked the way he demonstrated it. He took the Tesla to the supercharger, plugged it in, said, all right, done. Then he took the Ford to the VW network, plugged the Ford in, done. Then all that faffing about with the VW. The one plus side to this, if they end up using it, is that VW is able to update this vehicle over the air. Right. And they actually are doing their first beta tests now of people who get the update first. Kind of like what Tesla's about to do with the full self-driving, I guess. But you have to email them and sign an NDA, and then you get it before anybody else.
Once they get that charging stuff figured out, it is cool to get 3 years of free juice.
That part is nice.
I had a customer who bought a Nissan Leaf, and
no charge to charge.
Well, his Leaf, he drove it like 10 miles a day. He was a retired guy.
Oh wow!
And the Nissan dealer in town had a free fast charger, so he'd go to the Nissan dealer once a week, plug in his car, sit in their lounge, read the newspaper, drink their coffee, hang out for an hour, and then go home. And he said he never plugged his car in at home the whole time.
Oh wow!
So he kind of got.
So I'm not really understanding something. Why is it easy for a Tesla owner and a Mach-E owner to charge at Electrify America stations, but it's not easy for a Volkswagen owner?
Yeah, because there's a protocol called plug and charge that's part of the SAE standard, and it's supported in those first two vehicles and not the third one.
Interesting. So this is strictly a software update in the vehicle.
It could be
this
hardware
is
too.
Something.
Yeah, you're right, Casey. It could, because you have to have some communication path, but it has that. So I think it is just software. And not only that, Paul, this was a great video. He put in a trip to LA, and as you would
that
expect,
was awesome.
the navigation system plotted a route, including charging stops for him along the way, which is great. You want to make it as easy as possible. And you don't want to have to I'll tell you how to get there, but charging's on you, right? And I mean, one of the things that Tesla has is it has this charging network, and it tells you where to stop and charge and how long it's going to take. So his first stop was a J1772, and they told him he had to stop there for 9.5 hours. at this stop. And then he pulls out his phone and says, look, here's another app, and it shows me how I can get there using the Electrify America route with fast charging, and I wouldn't have to stop for 9.5 hours. This navigation system obviously needs to be updated to include the network that VW built.
I paid for.
It was just
Right.
It was ridiculous how poorly done. And we've all heard how Volkswagen fired the guy who was in charge of software, and they've had difficulties getting really good software. This is fixable, but they need to work on it. Absolutely need to work on it. It was sad how bad it was.
Yeah, and then he
It's
and
kind
Doug
of
DeMuro
strange
both.
I find it strange that they released it like this. I mean, it's not like they're blazing new trails here. This is
Software's not easy. It's probably going to take them 3 to 6 months to sort it out, and they didn't want to lose market share.
Yeah, because right now, if it's in the customer's hand or the dealer's hand, you're not paying on it. But if it's in your hands, you're paying on it.
this seems like a bad idea to do it
I
this way.
agree.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
It's really ruining their reputation. I mean, oh wait, no, they have
Further.
Dieselgate,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so maybe
I mean,
it's not that.
Let's
Maybe
be
it's more-
clear. Volkswagen's strengths have always been in the mechanical end of the cars. Even their gas-powered cars, the tech in them is abysmal.
Yes.
Jason and Doug DeMuro, they both pointed out how awful it was to interface with the center screen on that car, particularly the navigation. It was just like touch, move, and then like seconds later, you can actually see it do what you asked it to do.
Yeah,
Hopefully, an update will fix that.
Mm-hmm.
hopefully.
So the reason that we have 2 Teslas in our garage is that when I bought my Model X, my wife started driving the Leaf, and she had a shorter commute than I did, and so that was good. But occasionally, she had to stop and charge it, and there was this thing called Electric Avenue in downtown Portland, and getting that to work, every time she'd plug in, there'd be some error. She'd have to open the app. She'd have to make a phone call. There was also the AeroVironment, which now they've sold those off. Those had similar problems when we stopped in Woodburn at the AeroVironment station. And she was just, I hate this. Every time I try to charge, something goes wrong. It's not a reliable network. And having an unreliable network is almost worse than no network, because at least if there's no network, you don't depend on it. Right. But when you said, OK, I need to go here, but to go here, I'm going to have to charge. And so when she made that choice and then got stuck and had to deal with all this fiddling with the app, I mean, like he goes through in this video, all the steps of, OK, I have to pick what city I'm in. I have to pick the charger. I have to pick what stall I'm in. I have to pick which side of it. Am I on left or right? And then, sometimes I get that wrong. And it is not user friendly. And that's exactly the reason my wife said, look, I've seen how the Tesla works. You just plug it in and it charges. And that's what I want. So we got rid of the Leaf and we got a Model 3. And the other dealers, the other automakers have to make it that easy or they're hosing themselves bad.
I'm a big fan of the VW bus just for the sheer nostalgia of the shape, honestly.
That's a sore spot for me.
It got held back another year.
But I got to be honest with you. To me, looking at this, it feels like they're making a car that they want to appeal to everybody, but the honest to goodness truth is it's only going to appeal to people who are VW fans. And most of those guys are still driving their 1965 gas-powered VW buses. I just saw one today.
Yeah, the ID Buzz, that van, they've teased it for over a decade. And I feel like Lucy with the football with that one. And so like every time I see an ad for it, I'm just like, F you. You keep teasing me. I'm not gonna fall for it again. Yeah, so that's why I said like that one just is a sore spot. They played that card way too many times.
I mean,
It's going to take a fan to use this software. That's the thing. Convenience is king. And if they have to go through a lot of rigmarole, then the only people who are going to stick with it are people who are fans of your company.
At least some of the current automakers are starting to understand it. Like when it came to Ford, for example, they have it set up so you just plug it in and walk away. That's it. So there are some that are starting to understand that convenience is king, but many of them haven't
But
lived
like,
it
did
yet.
they not
And they're going to
have
stumble
focus
over
groups?
each other's feet until they figure it out that the consumer needs this type of ability. Tesla knew how to do it because they ended up building their own network. They knew they had to have it. So these others that are relying on other networks, they better make it seamless or they're going to pay a heavy price when it comes to sales, or reoccurring sales at least.
Absolutely. We heard that from Mary Barra at one of the big car shows where somebody asked her, what is she doing for a charging network? And she effectively said, we make cars, the charging network is somebody else's problem. They've kind of walked back from that a little bit, but that's the attitude they've had because, you know, they didn't build gas stations.
We don't make gas stations.
Yeah, and so they've had, this is exactly what we talked about earlier about the fossil fuel companies want to try to do everything they can to maintain the status quo, even if it means, okay, we'll do a little extra work to go green, but we want to keep the same business model. No, that's just, things are different, and they're only looking through it through this old 100-year-old lens they have, and they can't understand. Which was a whole special that Russell and I talked about can the mindset evolve or will they die?
You know, the number one factor in most consumers' decision to buy a vehicle is brand loyalty. And I don't know how many times, and probably all of us have, we've heard someone say, my grandfather bought brand X, my dad bought brand X, and damn it, I've been buying brand X since I was able to drive. And that is a huge, huge motivator. So yeah, VW's, because they're an enormous company with millions of customers, they're going to get some market share. The question is what they do with it. And I think you guys are right. They can't do their normal shitty job with technology and software that they get away with, because most of the people who buy a Jetta don't give a shit about the screen or the tech. They
Right.
want to go fast in 6 speeds. They want racing tires. That's what they want, suspension. They don't care about this. Well, the market's changing, and
Right.
adapt or die.